Gur míle maigad Lia agus an luthar go deá ormsa bheith anseo ima walla spiridalta hain fagidor ar maidin dun ócad seo. It's my privilege to host this morning's panel in my spiritual home of the Gaeltacht community here in Gweedore. My name's Malachy O'Neill. I'm a Professor of Irish and Director of Regional Engagement at Ulster University. And I'm delighted to welcome on stage our four panellists for this discussion on the Northwest City region, a hotspot of innovation. We were joined this morning by Anna Ní Gallagher. Anna is the Cathaoirleach of Údarás na Gaeltachta and provided our welcome address last evening. John Kelpie is the CEO of Derry City and Strabane District Council. We're joined also by John McLaughlin, CEO of Donegal County Council, and last but by no means least, Steve Orr, who is CEO of Catalyst, who have a presence in both jurisdictions. This event generally shines a spotlight on the unique and aspiring Northwest City region as a true hotspot of innovation. This city region is unique in many ways, straddles two jurisdictions and offers easy access to both EU and UK markets. With over 350,000 people in its population and boasting a highly skilled workforce, coupled with a diverse and growing range of large multinationals who call this city region home, this truly is a special place, and we're delighted to welcome guests to this event from the four corners of the globe. So, to kick off, I'll go to the custodian of the Gaeltacht in this morning's panel. Anna, this conference brings together a vast array of global talent in terms of creativity and innovation. In many ways, those priorities align with the agency you're representing in this morning's discussion. Can you tell us a little bit about Údarás na Gaeltachta and the role it plays in this locale?
Certainly, Malachy. Yes, so Údarás na Gaeltachta is the national state agency responsible for the economic, social and cultural development of the Gaeltacht, which is the Irish-speaking area of Ireland, or the Irish-speaking heartland of Ireland. And our ultimate aim is to provide all of this kind of development in order to ensure the continuation, the strengthening, the conservation, but also the development of the Irish language. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Gur míle maigad. Anna, and the space we're in this morning, it's reflective of the kind of investment and innovative facilities and spaces that have emerged in this region in recent times. What impact has that had on this rural community?
Well, I think it has had a considerable impact on this area. In fact, the impact is only beginning to be felt in many ways. As everybody knows, the world has changed utterly in the last 2 to 3 years with the arrival, I suppose, of COVID on our shores, which meant that many changes took place, you know, in social terms, but also, I suppose, in terms of even migration within Ireland itself, for instance, and that I know has happened in other countries, where young people return to their home areas, sometimes because rents were cheaper or totally free if they were living with their parents, to work remotely. And so overnight, many companies switched to remote working. And I suppose what I like to say is that in a way we've now come to redefine the notion of remote. That remote now means an area which is no longer, in which high-speed internet is no longer available. And these centres, such as the GTEC here in Gweedore and our other centres that the Minister alluded to just earlier, make high-speed and connectivity available to a large number of people who have chosen to live in rural areas and to benefit of the kind of healthy lifestyle associated with these kinds of communities and areas.
Gur maigad, Anna. And John Kelpie, John, you've been a champion of cross-border collaboration for many years, and your leadership of Derry City and Strabane District Council has been pivotal in the development of the Northwest Strategic Growth Partnership. Can you give us an insight into the genesis of that partnership?
Yeah, well, thanks, Malachy. I suppose Derry, Donegal, Tyrone have always, over the decades and over the centuries, the people of these areas have always worked together. And I suppose the councils in particular have collaborated over decades. But it's probably true to say that that's been very much on a project-by-project basis until maybe 2015, 2016, when the councils, together with both governments, said, look, we've got to stop this back-to-back planning. We're in different jurisdictions. We've obviously got different statutory responsibilities. But the Northwest is one place. It's one people. The businesses work together. People cross the border on a daily basis. We really do need to start working strategically together. And that was the genesis of the current partnership. Both councils initially came together, supported by the Northern Ireland Executive and the Irish Government. We report into the North-South Ministerial Council, the structures that have been set up under the Good Friday Agreement. And so it was transformational. What began to happen then was the business community, through the Chambers of Commerce, began to start working more closely together. The educational establishments, Ulster University, LYIT, now Atlantic Technical, Donegal ETA, the Northwest Regional College, again, all began to start working much more closely together, signed up a memorandum of understanding. And so I suppose that journey has been a really exciting one. Over the last couple of years, we're now in a place where, at a strategic level, we collaborate right across the region. We've developed a climate change and adaptation policy for the Northwest. We're looking at an energy strategy, very important right now that we look at that on a wider basis. We collaborate economically. The fact that we're here together today demonstrates that we think of this place as one place. So that collaboration is going from strength to strength, is really finding traction with our business community in particular, and heavily supported by our governments.
Yeah. Thank you, John. And moving to John's Donegal equivalent, also John McLaughlin. John, we've heard John Kelpie describe the close collaboration, particularly in that sort of the past 5-6 year period, and the progress that's been made. And cross-border collaboration in research and education is pivotal, clearly. And John's already alluded to the inception of the Atlantic Technological University, and we're delighted to have Orla as the new president join us at this event also. Can you give us a sense of the impact the inception of the new institution has for Donegal?
Thanks, Malachy. Yes. Yeah, and first of all, let's say, the ATU in Donegal, Letterkenny, Killybegs, is the newest university in Ireland, established 7 weeks ago. And first of all, just thank all those who worked hard on that for years to achieve it. And that's where the real hard work was done. And now we look forward to what really will be a game changer for Donegal and the whole of the Northwest region, I think. And I'm a former student of LYIT myself, and I went on to university in Galway and lead on to US. And it's a bit of the story of our history. A lot of our young people and students left the region to go to university, and a lot of them didn't come back. And then when you're away long enough, sometimes it's not easy coming back when you establish roots and families and so on, and then a few do come back. But I think this gives a huge opportunity for us, for young people who for years did huge work all around the world and took their place. Now they can stay local here and have their education, and then having a university, and all university towns have prospered over the years. You see from not just the student population, but the research and innovation that spins off that. If you look even on the island of Ireland, I'd use the example of Cork, Limerick or Galway, how they prospered from the university settings over the years. There's a lead-in time, of course, and I'd say both councils here, Derry and Donegal, we're planning now for that and making investments that will probably pay off in the 5 to 10 year period ahead. We're planning ahead, so we're very excited about that. I just might leave it there. I know time's tight.
Yeah, Thank you, John. And I should also like to pay tribute to Paul Hannigan and the leadership he's shown over a great many years, and the work that led up to the inception, of course, of the new ATU, and instilling that sense of collaboration between the FE and HE partners across the Northwest City region. In terms, then, John, of the unique context here, you've been leading on the development of a single FDI strategy for the region also. Can you give us a little insight into that?
Yeah, in a minute or two, I suppose. Yes, it was, and as mentioned, we have a population in the region of 350,000 here collectively in the Northwest. We're much better to collaborate and complement each other rather than compete, and we recognised that a long time ago. So we've developed that strategy to I suppose, develop a future for our people under four main pillars: the fin and the business tech, new generation technologies and manufacturing, the medical and the health fields, and the creative sector. Some we feel we have a unique strength in here in the Northwest, and the strategy is to actually to produce people and talent that will serve those pillars in the years ahead. I think we always said a job in Donegal or our job in Derry equally important to the region, and we don't fight over that. And then all forces are there. And I think the video that we've seen earlier is a very good example of that. Anyone looking at that across the world wouldn't have any thought about a border between the place. But you say that's one region, and it's a lot to offer.
Yeah, thank you, John. And Steve, Catalyst have a unique role to play in this innovation ecosystem here in the Northwest City region. Your presence in both Derry and Letterkenny is central to that, and it's well aligned with the further and higher education partners in the city region. Can you speak to that partnership?
Yeah, so I think, hi Malachy, thank you. I think Catalyst's role is really to build on the foundation that's been created by Ulster University, Derry and Strabane Council, and in the Gaeltacht, and Donegal Council, and Paul Hannigan and LYIT and our partners there. Because Catalyst is a science and tech hub, and we focus on two geographies. So one is Belfast, and the other one is the Northwest region of Ireland. And we just completed a 20-year pivot, because, and we asked this question, did a lot of qualitative research asking, what does everybody need from Catalyst that only Catalyst can do as we evolve into this next period? And so Catalyst's new vision is opportunity for all from world-leading innovation. So we want to build on the foundation that has already been created in helping to narrowly develop world-leading positions in a few sectors and technology strengths. And that was a vision that was arrived at through a very consultative, very inclusive process. But what's really important to us is that the opportunities that are created in these new leading cluster economical sectors are accessible to everybody, okay? Not as traditionally happened, that they might just be accessible for kids who are good at passing exams, you know, the meritocracy, but we all work a little bit harder to make sure the opportunity is more accessible. So within that context, Catalyst's role is to make it easy for you to innovate, okay? Whether you're a multinational corporation, whether you're a startup, whether you're a scale-up, whether you're an academic researcher, or whether you're a kid furthest from opportunity, but you would love to get into this space, but you feel as if you just don't belong. So Catalyst's role is, if you look at all of the investments that have been mentioned already in the Northwest, how can we help to leverage that? How can we customize solutions of collaborative research and development? How can we customize solutions of talent? How can we customize and curate a whole startup ecosystem that we help as a non-profit organization that help to develop across the region? How can we leverage that for the benefit of the companies?
Thank you very much, Steve. And on that point, and back to Anna, John McLaughlin's already spoken of the creative sector as a pillar of that, one of the four pillars of that FDI strategy for the region. And I've no doubt that John Kelpie will reference Derry Girls at some point in this morning's discussion, with that sense of culture and creativity. What's the role of language in the USP of this region?
Well, obviously, I think it's central, obviously, the identity of the region. It was Professor Kieran Hogarty last night mentioned the work of Finbar O'Brien on the notion of a strong cultural identity as an advantage for people in setting up businesses and in, I suppose, harnessing creativity. And that's very much, I suppose, also part of our philosophy within Údarás na Gaeltachta. The notion of being bilingual already provides certain advantages, very definitely. But also, a unique place where people are used to the notion of language. And I think migration is set to continue for many years to come. Ireland is already a multilingual country. We speak about, in the last census, the estimation was that we spoke 212 different languages. 13% of the population speak a language other than Irish and English at home in the Republic of Ireland. So language is part of what we do, and the notion of a very strong cultural sense of identity is very much part of who we are in the Gaeltacht. And if John is going to mention Derry Girls, then I must mention Enya, whose music is known the world over, as well as Clonard, as well as Mairad Niwini in Alton, who have brought the music and cultural heritage of this small region to the four corners of the earth. I mean, I remember once being in a boutique in Hong Kong, and one of Enya's songs was being played there. So language is very important, and I think also that sometimes we underestimate the power of understanding other cultures through language. And so that, if you are bilingual, you are automatically open to the notion of other cultures, because you live in a kind of a sort of duality, I suppose, in a way. And that's very, very important to what we do here. I'll finish on that. I could go on for hours.
Gurmaid, Anna, and I suppose the uniqueness and the USP of this region has been made all the more Sihul or unique by the onset of things like Brexit. We've dealt with the COVID pandemic in recent times as well. John Kelpie, tell us about how the innovative capacity of the Northwest has reacted to the change in circumstances through Brexit, COVID, etc.
So, look, much has been talked already. We're a border region. We're a trans-jurisdictional space, and Derry, Donegal, Tyrone, border people, they've had to face huge challenge. They live through massive uncertainty. I mean, I've been asked to reference Derry Girls, but look at the difficulties they've had to live with, that generation has had to deal with. And as a result, they're hardwired to adapt, to flex, to disrupt, and they're natural innovators. They've had to do that to survive. So you layer on top of that now the recent developments in the last number of decades, increasingly good infrastructure, good connectivity to the outside world, particularly digital connectivity. World-class educational establishments that we've already mentioned, good solid government backing and support, on top of a very, very young population who are open to the possibilities of the world, and given that hardwired nature that they have, they're no longer surviving, they're now thriving in that multi-jurisdictional border space. And so the challenges of Brexit and COVID and now the cost of living crisis, I mean, obviously there are deep personal issues there and family issues and that need to be overcome. But once they have been overcome, you're finding in this region that they're using those big sort of macro factors as opportunities to grow. Whether from a Brexit perspective, we're now the only region in Europe that straddles the United Kingdom, European Union, all the benefits of that. There's companies all across this region beginning to see that fantastic, unique opportunity. Obviously, COVID has led to people working from home, businesses relocating, using all of that opportunity to blend work-life balance And in terms of the cost of living crisis, beginning to find ways to make your euro or your pound go further, to try to make businesses leaner. And this is the region to do it, and this is the place to do it, and there's a history of doing it here, and there's a hunger to do it here. So you see that very much coming through from this region. The infrastructure supports that now. The institutions understand it, and places like Catalyst have really propelled that into a very new and exciting place.
Yeah, for sure. And John McLaughlin, Donegal have led the way in terms of developing a remote working strategy as well, the first council in Ireland to implement such a strategy. Can you give us an update on how that's progressing?
Yeah, Malachi, and I suppose, yeah, we've seen the opportunity early on. We didn't set out to be the first, it just turned out that way. But I think, and it was quite well described by the Minister earlier, what remote working is, and indeed Anna as well. It's not about sitting at home working. While that can be a foreign part of it, we see it more as utilising the digital hubs and so on, and GTEC here and the other routers are good examples. In Donegal County Council, we've supported up to 10 others, and there's lots across there in Strabane as well. They provide a great opportunity for people with enhanced digital infrastructure to work maybe a couple of days a week in there. They could work for a global company, come in and benefit from the supports that those centres can offer in terms of even creating your own business, or the people that Steve talked about, coming in, the innovators. Yeah. That you have all the supports there, and the hope would be you'd grow other companies out of that. We have great locations for lifestyle, and what you do after work is very important as well to people and families. Yeah. So we have all that in Donegal. So we have a lot of clusters there, and people wouldn't be far away from any of the digital hubs and high-speed broadband. Come in there and work, and I suppose help us and help yourself. Yeah, and in developing that ecology for the future of work, Catalyst obviously will play a pivotal role in this space. I know you have some exciting plans for expansion in both jurisdictions also, Steve. So over the next 10 years, what do these plans for expansion look like, and what impact does that have on this Northwest City region?
Well, I think if you look at the world is crazy, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any less crazy anytime soon. But there's two big factors, just to talk about quite quickly, to put into context those plans. The first is that there's been a real crash in the valuation of technology companies around the world. So there is an anticipated big layoff coming of about 20% of employees of technology companies are probably going to be let go soon. And employees who are working remotely will not be favoured within that because of the relationship that employers want to see more people back more regularly. So an advantage that the Northwest has, that John and John were just both talking about the importance of the digital hubs and the physical places where people can come into, as against just people working from a beach and a laptop. There's much better chance to have the infrastructure here in that post-mass layoff. Up until this week, I've heard people say that there's been a war for talent, and talent won. But I think it might swing back in the other direction. And I think that from what we've already heard about the investments, the Northwest is actually pretty well established for that. Yeah. And then the second one is climate. We're probably not going to get too many days in a row here over 50 degrees, like other parts of the world, right? But if you look out of the window and because we've got so many incredible people who are here, and the one thing I would just want you to leave with is just this thought. This is paradise, right? Look, it rains and it's beautiful, but also it doesn't rain actually that often. And so as a place to consider about where you're going to locate operations, where you're going to locate employees within an infrastructure that exists, this is actually paradise with really good tech as well, because there's serious investment into technology capability between Derry and Donegal in artificial intelligence and bio-inspired artificial intelligence, in cobotics and in genomics as well. So as the conversation progresses today, I just want you to bear that in mind. Paradise with great tech.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And as they say locally, Cias Jalan, the shower is always followed by a bright spell. So, Gurmila Moigif, thanks very much.
Thank you.